So apologies to our legions and legions of fans here. Seth and Sean Sports Radio, we have a Friday afternoon edition. Well,
because why not?
I think it's early evening where you are. Is it dark yet?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? I don't know. It's February 2nd. About 8, I think it's February 15th. So 2 weeks away from the NBA trade deadline. The NHL has taken on their All-Star game this weekend. The NBA All-Star game.
Does anyone know?
I knew. And I was proudly wearing your birthday gift to me yesterday. So, I mean, I know. Baseball, the Orioles have been sold. Now people can care. And suddenly
it's been a couple months for the DMV ownership world.
Well, yeah, and they got themselves a new coach yesterday too. So first things first, I have a question for you. It is a hypothetical question. If you could have any player from any, I am dog sitting as well, so you may hear a dog. If you can have any player from any team in any fictional game on your team, from a movie or TV, who would it be? Who would be the guy you'd want to play with?
In a fictional?
So for instance,
like Keanu Reeves in the like Shane Falco in The Replacements?
Right. Would you want to box with Rocky? Would you want Shane Falco as your quarterback? Would you want one of the Hanson brothers as a line mate? Would you want Dean Youngblood as your centerman? Would you want I mean, I got my own. Would you want, quite frankly, Roy Hobbs as your right fielder? Would you want the guy Kevin Costner from the Detroit Tigers get For the Love of the Game? Would you?
Okay, I get it. I mean,
would you want Woody Harrelson?
No, I want Jimmy Chitwood.
Jimmy Chitwood from Hoosiers. Okay.
I want to play ball with Jimmy. I mean, look, again, it's an old generational movie, but
so that's Hoosiers, ladies and gentlemen. For those that are unaware, that is Hoosiers,
or under the age of 35.
Okay,
that's just the most random question for me ever. So
I saw this on a TikTok. What is the fictional game or event that you would like to have attended? So I just took that from there. I would say, truth be told, I want Neon Badeau as my. I want Shaquille O'Neal from Blue Chips.
Blue Chips?
I want him as my teammate because I think I could just, if you watch that movie, I could throw it up from half court and he would nail it. Like, it wouldn't matter. Or I went Michael Jordan from Space Jam.
Okay.
Like, those are my guys. So, okay, so let's answer the same question. What fictional game would you have liked to have attended?
Fictional game?
So is it the finals of Hoosiers?
Probably. I would go with Space Jam, Michael versus the Martians. I mean, I don't really have an answer here for you. Maybe Major League 2, the worst movie ever. Or maybe Major League.
No, Major League 3 was worse. Back to the minors was definitely.
Yeah, but there was no expectation that 3 would be good. 2 was.
That's fair.
1 was so good and 2 was so bad.
Caddyshack 2 is definitely on that list of really, really bad movies. If you have the world's worst slice, why not go with it? I'm thinking any game from White. I would have liked to have been at the tournament during White Man Can't Jump. Like, especially when they all go nuts, right? I think it was the semifinals where there's almost a fight that happens, and not the new White Man Can't Jump from Amazon. I'm talking the original White Man Can't Jump. Where your mother.
I haven't seen the new one. Is it any good?
Where your mother's an astronaut. Like, yes, that one, right?
Vegetables that begin with the letter Q.
No, I think it's foods that begin with the letter Q. Because you have a quince in there, right? And you have a quail hog, and you have a quiche, and I don't remember the other two. Quince, quail hog, quiche, Quail. There's one more. There were 5 in jeopardy. But okay, I mean, look, I think White Man Can't Jump would have been very, very entertaining to go to that tournament at the end. Okay, with that said, we just talked about the DMV and what a good week, month, 6 months it's been, right? Are you if you are and you have forever told me you root for that team to do well. You don't root for them to beat the Giants, but they are like your secondary home.
The Redskins?
Just in general, you like the fandom. You want the fandom to be happy.
No.
Yeah, you have said this.
No. I love DC. I detest the Redskins.
I know that. But you don't detest their fans. Their fans have been completely.
No, I feel sorry for their fans.
Right. Okay. So do you think the fandom is happy with Dan Quinn?
Yeah, not really. I think there were higher upside plays.
Who left? Ben Johnson's not available.
Ben Johnson's not coming. I don't was Dan Quinn? Dan Quinn was the coach in Atlanta when they went to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I don't think it's a particularly exciting pick. I don't think it's a bad pick by any stretch. Although that performance against Green Bay left a lot to be desired. But I mean, if you're the Redskins, you have an enormous offensive talent. Not enormous, but you have solid receivers. You have Sam Howell was presentable and is young.
And will be replaced.
Most likely. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, hold on. So I'm okay with it. Like I saw it. I didn't really. It wasn't a motivator. Like it wasn't a new name. It wasn't a new name, for lack of a better term. It was okay. I mean, it was this. Look, he just like he. I like motivators. I don't know if Quinn is really a motivator. I mean, I don't. I was kind of okay with it. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a move that shakes the what do you call it? That shakes pretty much redoes anything that redoes anything. Like I don't think anyone's overly excited. I don't think anyone's overly disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
Do you think that it actually gives? So Adam Peters is the GM, right? That just came into DC. Do you think it automatically gives him a do-over if Dan Quinn doesn't work out? So in 3 years,
Yes.
if Dan Quinn doesn't work
every GM for the most part gets, unless you're David Tepper, everyone for all intents and purposes gets 2 chances to get the
really
coach.
Okay.
You think if in 2 years, considering how patient the world is at this point, if in 2 years Washington is 12 and 30, whatever, 32 combined, and do I think they're going to give Adam Peters a third year and they decide Dan Quinn's not the guy? Do I think they give him another chance? Most likely, because they want some continuity. Mm-hmm. You always want continuity, unless you think he's done a lousy job with other aspects of the rebuild. But how many GMs do you see fired in 2 years? Not many.
So most GMs actually, I think most GMs come in with a coach already there. They don't come in with a coach that's new. So when they come in with a coach that's already there, you get your 2 years under the previous coach, right? Then you get to fire him. Then you get your one shot at making it right. And then if that guy doesn't work out, it's 5 years down the road and you're done.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, look, coaches get fired, GMs get fired all the time, but typically the GM brings in the coach. Because if you bring in a GM where there's a coach already entrenched, if within a year the coach doesn't do an extraordinary job or they don't develop an extraordinary relationship, the coach is gone.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And then you get your one hire, whoever that is. That's what I was saying.
If you go by the average of how long a GM lasts for a team, it is significantly longer than.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, GM is always covering their ass, so it's easier to get a new coach than it is a new GM normally. Okay, yes. So the sexy pick not going to DC.
What are your thoughts on Quinn? I don't really have much of an opinion on it.
I think Quinn. I didn't really see any better options. I mean, I think that's where it is, right? Unless you wanted to go out in left field and hire a college coach, which I don't think that the DC
I don't think the DC would take that very well. I would have liked to have seen Aaron Glenn. I kind of like that. I mean, but I wasn't. There was no one I was particularly jonesing for that position. I didn't. You always thought it was going to be Belichick. They never showed any real interest. I don't know why. I mean, did they interview Vrabel?
They did not.
That seems weird to me.
I will say one thing.
Or did they think he was too? Sorry, did they think he was too similar to Rivera?
I was going to say congratulations to Troy Vincent, who has been scathed over and over and over and over again for lack of minority participation and lack of minority hires in the NFL. And this coaching cycle, he's got Mike McDonald, who's Black. He's got Dave Canales, who's Latino. He's got Raheem Morris, who went to the Falcons.
Is McDonald Black?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But you have 3 or 4. You have Jared Mayo. You have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. You're right. So you got. Sorry, I was looking at it. Quite frankly, I just made a mistake. I was looking at a picture. They misidentified Dave Canales as Mike McDonald. So I was looking at the Canales picture. So you have Canales, Raheem Morris, Antonio Pierce, and Jared Mayo. So 4 out of the 8 are minority, and that's a good winner for Antonio for Troy Vincent with trying to get this done. So I like the Brian Callahan signing as coach. A little out of the ordinary, but if you're the Tennessee Titans and you have Will Levis, and to me that says that they're staying with Will Levis, they are not going anywhere else, who brings his father, who is the best offensive line coach in the NFL by far. And he actually decimates the line of Cleveland, who wanted him to stay. I think it's addition by subtraction for them. Antonio Pierce, I'm interested to see how that one works, because I think we all do when interims take over permanent positions. And have you seen?
I hope he kills it. I hope
Me too.
He freaking kills it there.
Have you seen his coaching staff?
I read about it. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so Antonio Pierce, the coaching staff, is reportedly Hugh Jackson, awesome, Cliff Kingsbury.
That I know. He just hired as the OC.
Marvin Lewis.
That's beautiful.
It's like the old of the old, right? I mean, it's like Hugh Jackson.
He just needs to bring in Jim Caldwell, and you've kind of completed the whole. I mean, what is Hugh?
What do you mean? What is Hugh?
If Kingsbury's the OC,
and
Marvin Lewis.
Supposedly, Hugh Jackson is going to the defensive side of the ball.
But he's an offensive guy? What is this?
Yeah,
Matt Patricia part 2?
But he coached under Marvin Lewis. Was he the offensive guy? Maybe. Oh, here we go. So hold on. For an offensive staff position, they don't say what that is yet. So it's definitely an offensive staff position. But, I mean, he was fired last year go after going 8-14 at Grambling. This guy's got like 19 lives. He goes 8-14 at Grambling. I mean, yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Well, we'll see. Look, it made sense because if that happens and Jacobs wants out and Max Crosby, Jacobs leaves and Max Crosby wants out, that'd be my wife. Thank you, honey. Love you. You can say hi. It's just Sean.
Hi.
Video.
Yeah. Hey, Carl.
My beautiful wife.
So what do we do for a sports show? We have nachos to celebrate with homemade guacamole.
Good God, honey.
Woohoo! Well done.
I'm practicing for the Super Bowl.
There you go. Excellent stuff. So
We'll talk about it. Love you.
Love you too, Carl. So anyway, I think the Raiders will be fun. I think the free agents that they have with Josh Jacobs, it'll be an interesting situation as to who they re-sign and how they go about the draft. We got like 3 months to talk about the draft, and yet it's first thing on our minds every day because why not? And
because right now there's a lot going on, but it's a dead time. There's nothing of importance going on in basketball. You have except for the trade deadline. You're kind of going up on All-Star Weekend. Nothing major. Baseball, you had the big trade with Corbin Burns yesterday. Baltimore pretty much becomes the favorite in the American League, which is just unfathomable to even say. But there's really not a lot. Free agency is slowed to a crawl. The way this is going, Blake Snell may not sign a contract until 2026. The Super Bowl's next week, and we're all looking forward to it because it should be fun, and we'll talk more about it next week. But there's nothing else at this point. There's nothing else going on there, and hockey is hockey. I'm sorry. The biggest thing to me in the last week or two of sports is Jurgen Klopp is leaving Liverpool. Which I know, yeah. It's just not an overwhelmingly. There's not too much. Do you see any big NBA trades coming in? Because I don't. So
I love the deadline. I do. And
right.
I think I was going to go through some of that today. Look, the Knicks lose Julius Randle for 4 to 6 weeks. Is there a person that they could go get to replace Julius Randle? The answer is no. No way.
Why would they? Why would they?
Right. Well, look, if you look at the standings right now in the NBA, I don't know if
are they the 3 seed at this point or they're
well,
the 3?
I think we got a couple of things going on right here, right? So we're going to find out by the end of the weekend what the status of Joel Embiid is. And Joel Embiid is having, some might say, the best offensive season of all time. He is averaging more than a point a minute, which is insane. Point a minute played, 1.05. So right now, you have so Boston is 32-12. These are the 2 through 5 seeds with the loss column. The Bucks have 16, the Knicks have 17, the Cavaliers have 16, and the 76ers have 17. That's 2 through 5.
Did you say the 76ers twice?
No, I said the Bucks, the Knicks,
I didn't hear the Bucks.
The Cavs, and the 76ers. So they're all within. So the Knicks have played 48 games. Sorry, the Bucks have played 48 games. The Knicks have played 49. The Cavaliers have played 46, so they're 3 games out. And then the 76ers have played 47. If you assume that Embiid is out for 4 to 6 weeks, okay, and I think that's probably the minimum, in my opinion, okay, and he's got a meniscus injury. They haven't said what that injury is. I've had torn meniscus before. It may not be torn. It may just be bruised. There's 1,000 different things that could go on with somebody's knee. But this is not a guy historically that has stayed healthy to begin with. And here we are, right? So let's presume he's out for the next 6 weeks. Do you believe that they can hold serve in the 2 through 5 seed without Joel Embiid for 6 weeks?
Yeah, I do. Or I believe they can, because I look at the NBA, I look at the standings in the East. And let's just kind of talk this through.
Right. That's what we were doing. Yep.
So they're 6 games up in the loss column on the 7 seed. And 5 games up on Indiana, who's the 6. So if they play, they still, Tyrese Maxey's an all-star, and Tobias Harris is a solid player, and I think they can probably hold, because I look at the play-in teams. Miami is Miami. It doesn't matter where they end up. As long as they're somewhere in the 10, they'll be fine.
Do you understand Miami has lost 7 straight games?
No, they won last night.
Oh, they won last night. I mean, they're not the Miami of old. They're not the Miami that we remember. They are, I mean, they supplemented with Terry Rozier, but I don't feel confident in this Miami team. I mean, Miami is 11.5 back, and I mean, look, they're 5.5 above the play-in, so they'll probably make the play-in. You're probably right, but do you think that they would be? I mean, in the past, you'd be like, they have a puncher's chance against anybody. I don't think they do this year. I just don't think. I don't see where their offense comes from.
Let's let Rozier get a bit integrated.
Okay, fair enough.
And we're halfway through the year.
Fair enough.
So let's look at I'm looking at the rest of the play-in teams. The Orlando Magic is a nice story. Do they concern anybody? Not particularly. The Bulls, I mean, Philly would have to fall 10 games to fall out of the play-in. So I'm not worried really about them even making the play-in. I think they kind of hang in that they hang right around Indiana, give or take. They'll be a little bit under 500 for this time. I think Maxey can be a superstar. I think Harris is formidable. They have some decent depth with Morris and Covington. Again, they haven't been great this year. I get that, but just kind of looking through the team quickly, they have Oubre, they have Mount, they have some players. I think they'll be okay. I also don't think the East is particularly deep.
Sure.
Like, you look at the West is incredibly deep.
Oh,
the East is just.
Well, I mean, numbers 1 through 4 in the West are already settled. I don't think anybody's touching Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. First of all, the Nuggets have a 4.5 game lead over Sacramento and Phoenix. Do you think any of those 4 teams are falling behind Sacramento and Phoenix?
Probably not, but no, probably. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because I don't think anyone falls below Phoenix. Sacramento is, look, Sacramento's having a nice season, but they're not the problem, but no one's, they're having a season really kind of similar to last year, maybe a little bit behind, but with Minnesota and Oklahoma City, coming really out of nowhere to hit this level.
Yep.
It's kind of made a mess. Yeah, it's just a mess.
Well, you're seeing 2 things here. Number one, you're seeing the Kings playing a season with some form of expectations, which they've never they haven't had in 20 some odd
20 years. Yeah.
Right. And they're having a decent season. If you told Kings fans 2 years ago that they would be 27-19, they would be fine with it. But the problem is, you have last year's team and you're making a comparison to last year, and next year you're going to have the Timberwolves and the Thunder having this same response, right? Where if they fall down a little bit, people are going to be like, well, what happened? And you're going to be like, it doesn't matter as long as I make it. The Timberwolves Look, they've beaten the Mavericks and they beat the Thunder at the Thunder, 107 to 101. When you look at the last 2 weeks of that team, they lost to the Spurs,
And the Hornets.
Hornets, they lost the Thunder, they lost to a team when Cat had 65 points and was benched at the end of the game. It was one of the more magical nights of watching the NBA, which I happened to stumble upon when I was looking through on ESPN. I was like, okay, well, let me take a look at how Embiid's doing. Like just turning on the 76ers. Wait a second. Embiid's got 45 and they're in the second quarter.
Second quarter.
Yeah, right? So I start thumbing through. I'm like, wait, Cat's 13 for 15 and he's got 48? Like, okay, well, now I'm going from A to B and watch the rest of that game. Minnesota's got a identity problem. They got a maturity problem in that if you are at the end of the game, do you trust Karl Anthony Towns? And granted, everybody knew he was shot hunting and point hunting towards the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't point hunt when you're in the middle of a game. You point hunt when you're Joel Embiid and you're up 15.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, Minnesota is my number 2 team. I have been rooting since Kevin Garnett was there, and truth be told, Michael Conley wasn't on the court that night, and maybe that has something to do with it. And he is the guy that brings it all together for them. But that team has to show me something before I say they're a 1 seed that cannot get bounced out in the first round. Because now,
but also you look at who. It's not going to matter. You look at who the 8 seed could be.
Well, first they have to hold on to the 1. I mean,
yes.
Right?
Yes,
I mean,
could,
Oklahoma City
is
hot on their tail, and the Clippers are only 2 games behind now.
Yeah, and you look in one in the loss column, but you look at who 7 through 10 is. 7 through 11 are. New Orleans is scary. Dallas is scary. The Lakers. Who the hell knows what the Lakers are at this point? But it's kind of hard to write off any team with LeBron, who's still playing at an incredibly high level, and Anthony Davis. The Jazz are okay. The Jazz are. No one's really scared of the Jazz. No one's scared of the Rockets. Golden State is still. They're not Golden State, but nobody wants to play Golden State in the 7-game playoff. So
are you afraid of Golden State this year? I'm not.
As of how they've played this year so far, no. But this is a veteran team who has 35 games to get it together.
And they still have to make the play-in, which now they're there.
They're a game out.
Yep.
If they, again, assuming they can get themselves together as a veteran team who have won titles before.
Sure.
I assume, you've had all the Draymond issues. Clay hasn't been great. Wiggins has been awful. But you still have the nucleus of a team that 2 years ago won a championship. I don't want to write them off too quickly, despite how bad they've been so far this year.
Okay. To me, I look, you anytime you have the Golden State Warriors who have done what they've done over the last decade, right? Writing them off is at your own peril. It is. I get it. They have 2 years ago, 2 years ago, they made the Andrew Wiggins trade, and all of a sudden they got back in it and they ran on a title run. But that's when Andrew Wiggins was playing like an all-star. And Andrew Wiggins has been absolutely awful this year. Awful.
Yes.
Kuminga has come on. I get that. And Steph is still Steph, but they're still 2 years older. They don't have the depth that they once had. They have had injury problems throughout the year. I get it. But I will tell you, this team doesn't, aside from Steph Curry, this team doesn't scare me. Not one bit.
No. As of the way they've played so far this year, it doesn't scare anybody. But what I'm saying is this team does have the capability, based on who they have. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt until there's no reason to.
That's fair. Okay, let's get back to the East because I was going through this. So you think Philly's hanging on at 5 and 6, right? Based on what you were talking about before.
I think so.
Okay, but they're not making any climbs.
Not without Embiid, no.
Okay. Can the Knicks hold on to the 3 seed without Randall?
Yes.
Okay. I think the Knicks eventually will wind up with the 3, if not the 2. Anunoby has fit perfectly with that team. And if they stay healthy, and Randall is the health problem right now, they need to make a deal. They do. They need another bench scorer to replace Quigley because right now they don't have anything coming off the bench. I mean, anything being they have Quentin Grimes. that's their bench scoring. Right. They gave up a lot in that deal, but defensively they made a huge, huge pull. So if we're looking at teams that are probably going to make deals, I don't see the Celtics making a deal at all.
No. They have who they have. They're good.
I think they're good. I don't and to the chagrin of Mark Rubin, you are not getting Sadiq Bey for a second round pick. It's not happening. I know you have a $6.5 million TPE, and for those that are unaware of what a TPE is, and I think that this is more salary cap nuance that anybody talks about. A TPE is a trade player exemption. So what does that mean? That means you can acquire a player. You have a $6.5 million bucket to put one player in. That's what it means. So you can't use it. You can't combine it with anything. It is basically a player needs to slide into that bucket. So you could acquire 2 players, one that is $20 million and one that is 6.5, provided you are passing out $20 million. The thing about the Celtics is the 2 guys that they could trade are earning $4.5 and $7 million. You're not getting anything for $11 million that's going to improve that team. You're just not. There's nowhere there. All right. The Knicks. Are the Knicks making a trade? Are the Knicks going big game hunting? But I'm not sure who big game is there.
Look, I don't think so. Because we're going to put Embiid to the side. We know every New York Knicks fan has this wet dream of getting Embiid. Let's put that to the side for now. The best player out there that we know of on the free agent market is Siakam. They're not trading for Siakam, who's going to be a free agent next year. They don't have what Toronto wants. Toronto's probably not going to trade within the division. I don't see it.
Yep.
They're not going to trade for Zach LaVine because they're just not going to trade for a $40 million contract. Could they trade for Brogdon? That gets you your scoring off the bench. What's it going to? Is it going to take Grimes and 2 first-round picks? I don't know what Portland's going to.
So, if you are making that pick, if you're making a trade for Brogdon and you're the Knicks, you have to give up a couple of things. First of all, you have to give up Evan Fournier's salary because there's no way to make that happen, right? Unless you do that. Is Portland going to take 1 first-round pick and Evan Fournier for Brogdon? Probably not.
No, I said 2.
Right, I know, but that's the thing. The Knicks are not giving up Quentin Grimes in a trade for Malcolm Brogdon. They are looking for more bench scoring. That's not a significant enough step. The other thing about Malcolm Brogdon is, as we have seen every single year,
he gets hurt.
To get hurt. That's kind of why the Celtics traded him in the first place. One of the reasons. First, they traded him to the Clippers, and that didn't work out. And then they traded him to the Trailblazers because they couldn't count on him in the playoffs to stay healthy. So if you're in the Knicks, I don't think you make that trade. I don't think you give up Grimes. If you are willing to give up 2 firsts and Fournier, and that gets it done, you consider it because the Mavs, they have 3 first-round picks this year, potentially, including the Mavs' top 10 protected pick, which will convey this year because the Mavs are going to make the playoffs. And I might do that. If you're the Knicks, here's my next question. Is this the season? Is this a season you push in?
No.
See, and I'm not sure you're right. You have Anunoby on a this is his year. If he could be a free agent. I'm not saying he will, but he could be. You have Brunson in his prime. You have Randall in his prime. You have DiVincenzo playing lights out.
Lights out.
You might get Mitchell. The expectation is getting Mitchell Robinson back at the end of the year. Hammerstein is
playing as well as playing sensational
and is a free agent after this year, unrestricted. So do you re-sign him and spend $28 million on the two centers? That's untenable. Is this the year? And can they beat the Celtics? That's the point. Can they? Yes. Will they? That's a different story. But with that team, can they beat the Celtics? Because as far as I'm concerned, if you get to the finals, that's success.
Well, let's play this out then. If you're saying you're pushing, to quote good God, who was the Giants coach who said he was going to push everything into the middle when they were like 4-7, they won like 9 in a row. Jim Fossil.
Okay.
If you're pushing everything into the middle this year, my fear is the scoring is one issue. The height, pretty much. You have Robinson who's been hurt. You have Randall who's hurt. Your front court depth isn't there either.
Correct. They have to get through Randall being out.
Yeah. So what exactly are you going to do if you're saying you want to make the push this year? And I get it. No one knows how to read Milwaukee.
Agreed.
Philly comes back with Embiid is incredibly dangerous. Cleveland's a weird team. Indiana's fun, but Indiana's not relevant as a championship contender. I get it. You think you can be a contender this year, and you probably can be. But if you're saying you're going to push in, what are you going to do? What does you pushing in mean? What does it get you?
Well, and I think that's the point, right? So part of it, it's not DeJounte Murray. Okay? It's not DeJounte Murray.
No.
It is Malcolm Brogdon, right? It is – you're not getting –
But that's not a major – all the chips on the table.
Agreed. But you have these 4 or 5 first-round picks that they have, right?
Yep.
And so you can either wait and go big game hunting for Donovan Mitchell or somebody of that ilk, right? In the offseason, and maybe or maybe not get him. Or you push 2 of those first round picks or some combination of your picks that you were going to spend on Donovan Mitchell and give it to Portland and get a Malcolm Brogdon and say, we don't need a superstar to win this year. We just need these players, whoever these players are. And to me, it's not pushing all your chips in for one player. It's pushing your chips in for the right player. And right now for the Knicks, the right player is 2 bench players. It's not a superstar. They don't need another superstar.
Who's your front court guy you're going to go after?
Do you go after Bogdanovich in Detroit? Do you go after look, Sadiq Bey is more of a guard than he is a forward. Do you go after somebody?
Sadiq Bey is not changing the dynamic of anything.
Okay. Do you go after somebody that Memphis has? Right? You go after Luke Cornett, who gives you some shooting from the outside?
No, that's Luke Kennard.
Luke Kennard, excuse me. And he's the guy. Sorry, Luke Cornett was a Celtic guy. You're right. Luke Kennard, has a $14 million option next year. So you can pick that up if you wish or don't. And you give a first-round pick there and 2 firsts. Like you find a way if you want to make this happen. Are you building this is the Knicks of the 1990s. Are you building a sustainable model? Or do you feel like you can win it this year? And which one is more important? Are you sustainable and maybe never have the opportunity to win it all? or are you're a 2 or a 3 seed and you become very, very good, right, over time? Or, hey, I got a chance to win an NBA title this year, and this is a team that can win a title. And those are your questions.
But I guess the question being, okay, if those are your questions, so let's go back. Look, if you have the chance to win a title, you take the chance to win a title.
Sure.
It's the Ajuri bringing in Kawhi deal from 5 years ago.
Yep.
You have. So, Jakey, let's ask your advice. You say hi to Uncle Sean.
Hey, Jake.
If you have the chance to be really good for many years, or you have the chance to win a championship in 1 year and then kind of fall apart, what would you rather be?
What?
You'd rather go try winning the championship?
Yeah.
I think he's right.
Okay.
Listen
So
to
you,
Little Dude. But
so you
again,
got-
I'm not sure trading for Luke Kennard is a push to the championship.
if you get Kennard and you get Brogdon,
He plays for Memphis, Jakey.
if you get Luke Kennard and Brogdon and you're starting 5 and Randall's healthy, this all hinges on
Isn't
Randall.
that good?
This all hinges on Julius Randle being healthy. If Julius Randle is not healthy, this team is not a championship team. They're not. They're probably not even a second round team without Julius Randle.
Okay.
If they get the wrong matchup, right? If you get Milwaukee in the second round without Julius Randle, I don't think the Knicks win that.
You're crushed.
Right.
Because you have no match. I mean, no one has a matchup against Giannis anyway. But
Right.
it's a that team is too big for you.
Right. Exactly. So my point is, if you are able to avoid, if you can guarantees hard. If you are going to get the 2 seed, right, which means you avoid playing Boston until the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. If you told me if I go get Malcolm
What team are
Brogdon
you talking about, Nets?
and Luke
Knicks.
Kennard to supplement that bench, and that gets me to the conference finals, okay, against Boston.
Who did you trade from?
Is that what, to me, that's pushing it into the middle.
So you're going to trade 3 first-round picks. Just give or take, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, well, I don't think losing a top 10 pick of first of all, I don't think the Knicks pick this year is worth their salt, right? It's going to be in the
It's a terrible draft, and they're going to be somewhere in the low 20s.
Okay. Do I care about the Mavericks pick this year?
Probably not, because most likely they'll make the playoffs, although right now they're in the play-in position, so who the hell knows?
Okay.
What?
And Kyrie is finally healthy, so that's helpful. And okay, do I care? So they have 2 other picks. They have a Detroit pick in like 5 years or 4 years, and then they have a Washington pick at some point. That's top 10 protected. So let's say I give up the top 10 protected Dallas pick, the top 10 protected Washington pick, and the Knicks pick this year. And I get Brogdon and Kennard. To me, yeah, that's worth it. I'm in. 100%. Out of 100 times, I'm in for that trade.
By the way, you agree there's no chance that the Brooklyn's going to trade Mikal Bridges, correct?
If they were
That's
trading
the Knicks.
Mikal Bridges, I would be lining up with every pick I got.
That would take the 5 first-round picks, most likely.
And I'd give it all. I'd give it
I'd
all.
do anything
Because-
to Mikal Bridges.
Because Bridges has 2 more years on that contract at $25 million. I would get
That's
Fournier
best-
and
One of the 2 best deals in basketball.
I get Fournier and 5 picks. I mean, Mikal Bridges is the new Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
4 years, $100 million, same contract. 4 years, $100 million, best 2-way player.
Brown plays for Boston.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
What's the
that's
Jaylen Brown again?
Mikal
Brown
Bridges
plays
has
for
the
the
same
Celtics.
contract. Sorry, I have to translate for my 7-year-old.
That's okay.
So
All right.
Jaylen Brown used to have the best contract in basketball. And now Mikal Bridges does. And Mikal Bridges has the same contract now that Jaylen Brown had then.
And Uncle
Mhm.
Sean loved and
Uncle
at that. Let me ask you this though. Jaylen Brown was one of the more underrated players in the NBA, having a 4-year, $25 million a year contract. Gets this super max, right? And is no longer we can be happy to say he's no longer an underrated player earning $52 million a year. How much money would Mikal Bridges have to earn to not be an underrated player?
It makes no difference. It's whatever the next contract is. He will no longer be underrated because he's going to get.
No, but that's
Okay.
not true because as long as he's not an all NBA player, he won't get that.
He won't get that, but he will get the maximum that he can get under that, which is still going to be 35, 37 million. And you're not
Fair.
underrated. You're not underrated at $35 million.
Fair enough. Okay. So all right. Players that are going to be traded. We can safely assume Donovan Mitchell will not be traded, at least during the season. Maybe after the season, but not during the season. Zach LaVine.
I'll be very.
I heard an interesting Zach LaVine rumor this week.
Shoot.
Detroit. Now, you and I talked about this, right? As to what Chicago asked for, which was the most lunacy.
Which was berserko. Right. Well, Chicago sees him as a net profit. Other people see him as a net loss.
Do you see him as anything more than a net even?
Pretty much that's what he is because of his contract. He's about even.
But to me, it takes it takes a certain team that can handle him, right? You need to have defense lined up. The Bucks are a perfect team for him. Perfect team. They have no place for him, but anybody and that's why Detroit is perfect for him. They have enough athleticism and they have Durant in the back and they got Isaiah Stewart in the back to handle the defensive deficiencies. I don't know if many other teams that can handle a Zach LaVine without a defense.
Well, Milwaukee's defense without Holiday has been pretty mediocre this year, to say the least. And Doc Rivers coming in, I'm sorry, I like Doc Rivers more as an analyst than I do as a coach. I don't really know. I mean, what does Detroit can even offer?
Detroit can offer a lot, believe it or not. If we're looking, Detroit has all their picks. Hold on. No, they don't have all their picks. They're missing one pick, which they owe the Knicks.
Oh,
I think it's a 2025 first-round pick they owe the Knicks. They have a bunch of seconds, but again, this is based on what is his value, right? If Detroit believes that he's a net negative, then your second-round picks will absorb that guy, right? That's
Detroit has the salary space to take him on.
They do. They're going to have $60 million at the end of next. They could trade and expiring. They have $60 million coming off that cap. They'll have $60 million for nobody this summer. But what the thing about Detroit and Charlotte's the same way is that those teams did not go the way of Oklahoma City, did not go the way of New Orleans, which is utilizing cap space to acquire draft assets. They did not do that.
And that's why Troy Weaver is probably not going to have a job in about 6 to 12 months.
Probably. So you have two teams, and we didn't even get to Oklahoma City. That was going to be my next question. Is you have these two teams, and the Wizards are another one that have all this have all this cap space. And what they should be doing this summer is what Oklahoma City did, which is rent out the cap space for draft picks.
Yeah,
dump my guy for 2 firsts, or dump my guy for a first. It's the Andre Iguodala saga, right?
And like Washington has Kuzma, they have Morris, they have guys.
Jordan Poole. They have Jordan Poole.
I'm not sure anyone wants Jordan Poole at $30 million.
I don't think anybody wants Kuzma. Well, Kuzma's at 25, so maybe people want
Kuzma's a better player.
Absolutely.
Why is Caleb going to be number 1?
What's that?
He wants to know why Caleb Williams is going to be the number 1 pick.
Well, we got 4 months to talk about draft.
4 months to discuss it, Jakey.
And we'll do that in a later show.
Hey,
what do you think about Oklahoma City? Is this
the best passer in the league?
look? Oklahoma City has the next 4 drafts, basically all them, right?
Our boy.
At some point, they have to go. At some point, they have to go all in to make a trade because they can't put all these players on their team.
Agreed.
Oh, I hate this game.
Who's that guy?
Well, you take a look at the team. You have a superstar guard.
You have a superstar center.
You have in pretty much seeming to become a superstar center. You need the superstar 3-4.
Well, you have Jalen Wood. You have
They have Zara Williams. They have Dort. They have good players.
Yeah.
They need one more. I mean, to be honest, if Siakam would sign a long-term extension with them, that may do it. But he's not going to. So you can't push in.
Look,
can't. You're Oklahoma City. Would you say?
I was going to say the perfect player for that team. He's not on the timeline. Like you want a younger guy than this.
Right.
Give me a younger Jimmy Butler.
Yes. But who is a younger Jimmy Butler?
Hey, JJ McCarthy.
The guy in LA who was already there once. Paul George.
Am I just going in circles now? Or-
Yes, Paul George would be going in circles.
Paul George
Why?
would be going in circles.
Why?
I wasn't talking about this.
Isn't that? I mean, he's a free agent, right?
I didn't get the number
At the end of the year, he hasn't re-signed. I mean, Lord, that is like the perfect
Six.
fluency.
Oh, good draft.
I mean, Paul George is a Swiss Army knife for any team. But
Yes,
that
he
team,
fits the defensive philosophy. He's a good passer. He's a good scorer.
my God.
I get it.
Yeah.
I just don't think he wants to play in Oklahoma City.
No, right, exactly. But that's the type of player they would need. And I'm not sure that, look, there are only 2 or 3 of those in the whole NBA. So, I mean, Cade Cunningham went to the wrong team. I mean, that would have been another guy. Okay. Jake, tell me something that's been good about school this week. We're going to have a special segment. Jake Kamen's school philosophy. What was good in school this week, buddy?
What was good in school this week, dude?
It's
What does that mean?
you have Mrs. Mashaka and you play the games, but you only have one game. Today, it was the funnest day of my life.
Today was the funnest day of your life?
No, today's what I mean is like it's a great. It was.
You're
fun.
going to have all that, then
This
you're
is-
going
and putting robot at the exact same time.
and all that, and then you're going to kids club tonight.
Yep.
Good day for you.
That may be dude. If that's the funnest day of your life, you got a long time ahead of you. I'm telling you, there are a lot
He's
more.
had a lot of
days.
funnest days of his life.
It's a lot of fun days ahead.
He had a pretty good day. He had a
So-
pretty good day that I remember that he went to the College Football Hall of Fame and then the aquarium and then he went to the Coca-Cola Museum and then he went to watch football. That was a good day.
We had a really good day. Jake, you got a really short-term memory, my friend. But that's okay. All right, Seth, 5 more minutes. You got anything for us?
I kind of mentioned it briefly. Jurgen Klopp. Okay, Jake.
Very good one.
Good stuff. This is why I don't typically host on Friday at 4:00. Jake, Jurgen Klopp may be the best manager in the world for any sport. And he's done an incredible job with an undercapitalized team in Liverpool, at least as compared to the monsters at Man City and Chelsea and all that. You know, he's won a Champions League. He's won an EPL championship. He is everybody. There's never been a bad word said about him. If it was a sport people in the United States cared about, that would be something. So best of luck and congrats on his retirement. Way to go, Yannick Sinner, knocking off not Djokovic in the semis and coming back from 2 sets down to win a 5-set thriller in Australia. Good stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to take a line out of Seth Kamen's. I had to laugh because it's like his favorite go-to line. I had to laugh.
That or it is what it is, one of the two.
Exactly. And I did laugh when I read this headline on ESPN today. Jaguars asked FanDuel to return a stolen $20 million. And my response was, yeah, right. And I understand that FanDuel and all these gambling sites have to go through background checks. And if a person is betting more than their lifestyle, they are supposed to not allow them to place a bet. However, Jaguars, maybe if you had protections on your credit card schemes, nobody would have stolen $20 million or $22 million and been able to bet 20 of that. Just because, Jaguars, you made a mistake doesn't mean FanDuel has to pay you back. I found that to be one of the funniest things I have seen all week.
And now I'm just gonna delete everything.
It's been a really long week at work, and that just made me laugh because I was like, yeah, right. Like they're ever going to say, here's a blank check, here's your 20 million back. Sorry. Yeah, not going to happen. Okay. For Seth Kamens, I'm Sean Palmer. Next week, we'll be back on our Wednesday schedule, and we hope you have a great week, everybody. Adios, amigos. Bye, Jake.
Bye.
For Jake Kamens, this is Sean Palmer and Seth Kamens. Adios.